Chances Go Crypto Investing. Just going to give you a brief glimpse of episode 2 of Fiscal and Monetary Policy Fridays, just released exclusively to members of Jabroni Killers. And this is industry exclusive. Nobody else is talking about this in the cryptocurrency sphere about anything other than the coins, and showing you about how this crypto is the same as gold or this crypto is the same as silver. Nothing could be farther from the truth. We're going to take a brief look and a synopsis on what I think is coming in the Joe Biden administration. I think we're going to have wage and price controls, sort of like the Soviet style, or at least a Richard Nixon style back when he was trying to control hyperinflation and he capped wage and prices for 90 days. And it did not help wages and prices. All it did was sap the supply, the limited supply that there was. It sapped it, and you had long lines for the things that he capped with price controls on food and energy. Then you had long lines for gas, long lines for food, and there was very little of it to be had. And right now, Joe Biden's in a no-win situation. His economy is stagnating. You're in an inflationary depression, like I've been forecasting from years now, and now you're starting to see it, where prices in consumer goods and energy, food, gas, right, are skyrocketing. Prices of homes, things you need to live, and jobs are stagnating and going away, and the pay is not keeping up with inflation. And the Fed's in a no-win situation. If they try to raise rates aggressively to fight inflation, it would collapse this economy. Or if they try to ease their way in to try to fight it, it's just going to run away with itself like it is. And you can. It's exactly what we get into in this video, the wage and price controls on what's going on, the no-win situation for the Joe Biden, Jerome Powell tandem, which his predecessor and their predecessors of horrible monetary policy since the president took us off the gold standard temporarily in about 1968. They've been counterfeiting U.S. dollars ever since 1968, and the dollars you've been using to purchase things with since then are not really buying you anything, because you can't purchase things with debt in the United States. If you don't know that, you're being left behind, because you've been lost in the education system by the propaganda that you're not being taught. When you buy anything in the United States of America with a U.S. Federal Reserve note dollar, it says Federal Reserve note. And what that means when it says Federal Reserve note, that means you have a note from somebody promising you to pay you real money at some point in the future, right? They're giving you debt, an IOU, saying at some point in the future you are holding this amount of debt from me, and I will come here at some point in the future and pay you real money, right? You can't buy, like when you buy a house with Federal Reserve notes that the United States government has counterfeited after 1968, when they took the United States off the gold standard, thus the world off the gold standard, thus putting the world on a fiat monetary policy standard where they just print dollars out of thin air, and those dollars are fake and they're counterfeit. If you or me did what the Federal Reserve does on a daily basis, we would be executed, right? But since they're the banksters and the gangsters, they're allowed to do what they're doing. But if you don't understand that, or if you didn't understand what a fiat dollar is, or when we went off the gold standard and why we went off the gold standard and how it was only temporary, you need to become a member of Jabroni Killer to get on top of what's actually going on in the market, because you're being left behind. You're being walked all over, because if you're not educated on what money versus currency is, right, you're being fleece heisted and shysted, because you're already so far behind the race, because you don't understand what money and what currency is. It's two totally separate things. One has nothing to do with the other in regards of what you think you're looking at with dollars, right, or euros or yens or whatever currency your name decides to be called. They can call it the Freedom Fighters of America dollar, right? It's junk if it's not backed by real money. And you can see Bitcoin, though, it did bounce. We're going to give you a quick update here. Bitcoin did bounce off of the you fucking kidding me? Oh, it's still going. Nice. I psyched myself out. I thought it wasn't recording this. I was going to say, come on. But you can see we did bounce off of the, move that out temporarily. Let's zoom in a little bit to the local time frames. Let's see, you can see we did bounce off of the area we were looking at the other day, the orange fib circle, right? We got below the first fib circle in the 200, and we told you it'd be a quick fall here, but we told you there could be a nice little bounce that forms like it did here, and then you fall, and notice you broke a lower low. Now we're getting rejected, and you could be forming a nice consolidation here where you form something like this, right? And then your targeted move would be something like this. Get that off. You'd grab it, and if it's forming a consolidation like that, you'd go to the point of the breakout, and that would get you pretty close to a local double bottom right here, right? So we'll watch to see what kind of consolidation you're forming. If you're trying to get bullish, you have to hold over this orange ring and trade up. If you get below this orange ring, you're very bearish. You're already bearish because you have the moving averages descending now, coming down. That means as the price trades up in to the moving average that's coming down, it's going to force the price down, right? That's why I think you're coming down. You could get as high as here, right? Just like we talked about when the price was up here after Vincenzo made his beautiful trade with his subscribers on First Mover Advantage with Jabroni Killers, where we bought this and then we sold up here, or I told my Jabroni Killers to sell up here, right? But I was holding my coin to here to try to see if it would break up and continue, because I had my stop loss at a 6.5% profit, and I was willing to give up this profit up here, thinking that we could get a hold support and continue up. We did not hold support, so our stop loss got hit here in Bitcoin SV at a 6.25%, 6.25% gain. We did not participate into this or this, right? This was all, if you bought up here, anywhere up here, you were a jabroni, right? Anywhere with the price up here, you were fleece heisted and shysted if you were told to buy. Members of Jabroni Killers were told to buy back here. And the last video that we put out when I was driving down here off the retest, when this bounced up, came into the moving average, flushed, came down here on the white support box. This is when the video was put out, as we thought we were going to bounce up into here and then force through it and get up into here. And we had a top end if you got above there right here, and this would be your sell zone, right? And it was a phenomenal trade. We had a couple of people already commenting that they did good on the first trade, and then they knew if they wanted to hold with me down to here, they would have had a few percent gain depending on the site they're using. They might have been liquidated with their fees, would have washed them out. But if you would have bought when they bought here, if they would have sold when it was up in here for a few days, they were at like a 17 to 20% gain, a significant gain. More than willing was worth the swing trade. And we did phenomenally well. But now if you don't hold this and you keep getting rejected, you're coming down to 32,700 and change. And then we'll do another coin real quick. You can see XRP is the same thing. If you break this symmetrical triangle, your first bottom, 62 cents, right? But our more long-term target, if we zoom out of here to the 4-hour time frame, you can see we've been struggling to stay in the symmetrical triangle here the last few days, right? And if you slip below it like this, come up, hit it and get rejected, you're coming here first, maybe a little bounce there, then you're coming down here, maybe a little bit bounce back up to this fib circle that's in there faded in the background, and then you're coming way down to your short-term target right there, where if we move this to the current day now, you can see your short-term target. It's not changing the price, it's just changing the day further into the future, right? And you can see that is where I think you're eventually coming down to, and this might be a way that you get down there. Let's see if I can hit this. We'll make this come back a little bit more, and then you can see the green fib circle that I was talking about. See that? That's why we got supported here. Then we had resistance, resistance, support, support, and then when we come down, this could be your first 62 cents. That's why we have that there, but it was faded into the background because we were talking about upper levels up here. But now you can see kind of where we're looking at XRP. We've been on top of this with our fib circles. We fade them out into the background and bring them back when we need to look at them. Like, subscribe, and share. Peace and love. Peace and love.